how long can you go on with this? It seems like stalemate continues.
Well, we'll go on until we get a settlement. We are waiting for the companies to change their position. They set out their stall. They've not offered us a pay rise. They've not offered us the guarantees on job security. And they want to rip up our conditions, shut every booking office in Britain, take all the guards off the train. So it's a very serious situation, and our members will keep going until we get a solution. And that will happen around the negotiating table if the government change their position.
I mean, it's interesting. We were talking to one of our viewers and listeners, Robert, in the last hour, who was a train driver for 30 years, still a member of the union. Of course, he has sympathy with the other union members and his mates who are still working on the trains. But he says any settlement, you've got to accept something which is reasonable. You've got to make sure you don't damage the rail industry by continuing this for too long.
Well, we're not damaging the rail industry. If you take Avanti West Coast, which is, you know, where I'm standing outside now at Euston, they are destroying the industry. They can't run the service when we're not on strike. And the problem is the way that the railway is managed and the demands they're making on our members. We will adapt and negotiate to new conditions, and we've adapted new technology all along. But that doesn't explain why these members standing behind me now haven't had a pay rise for 3 years, while the companies are extracting £500 million in profit last year. The chief executive of First Group, who run Avanti West Coast and other railway companies, took over £1 million in salary last year, and he'll benefit from the tax breaks that the Tories want to give them. So we've got a basket case of a railway industry, and they're making demands on us that they know we can't accept. The managers know we can't accept them. The government's got to change their position so that we can get a deal that we can all be supportive of, but that's not in sight at the moment.
Do you accept, though, that there does have to be compromise on both sides?
I accept that. I negotiate pay deals and all sorts of restructuring deals every day of the week, and we do deals with companies all of the time. But compromise is a two-way thing. It's not just the workers that have got to compromise. So in Network Rail, they're making completely unreasonable demands on us. They want to rip up the safety regime on the railway. And on the train operating companies, for instance, they want to take all of the guards off the trains and shut all our booking offices. So both sides need to compromise, and we're in the business of compromise and making agreements. But at the minute, there's no sign of an agreement. There's no sign that the companies are going to come off the position that they had back in March when this dispute started.
Well, you talk about the company's position, and these are companies that you're dealing with. Why do you keep referring to government not moving in all of this? And I say that because Parker's been in touch, who says Mr Lynch and Mr Whelan are calling these strikes for political reasons. They don't lose a penny from their six-figure salaries. Now, I'm sure you hear that all the time, but it's a point worth making, isn't it? Well, you're just peddling cliches there. I don't have a six-figure salary, so that's nonsense. And nor does Mick Whelan, so you're just making it up, basically. This is not a political strike. The people behind me are not politicians. They're ordinary men and women that want a decent day's pay for a decent day's work, and that's what we're after. So the idea that this is some kind of political strike, you're just peddling nonsense, and I'm sick and tired of hearing it from politicians who come out with this rubbish, and journalists that just recycle it. It's so easy for you to just say this is a political strike. That's absolutely it's nonsense. Well, I don't know where you get it from. What we want is a pay deal. We want a set of conditions we can work with, and we want job security. That's nothing to do with politics. Well, let's be quite clear. This isn't us, but this is us asking a question. This is us asking a question that one of our viewers and listeners has emailed in. Let's be clear. And you need
but it's rubbish. It's a nonsense idea that we are. What political programme are we peddling? These people behind me. What is the political angle in this dispute that you're alluding to?
Well, yeah, but the point is, this is what the public or some of the public. Well, you said
it's a political angle. What is the political angle that we're peddling?
Well, if you let me ask a question, the point is this is what someone has been in touch and asked us to ask you. Now, if that's what the public perception is, you need to have the public on side.
There is no political angle to this dispute.
Well, the political angle. Well, ultimately, the political angle would be to bring down the Tory government, I guess.
Well, when have we ever said that? I haven't said that to you this morning. It's not on our stuff. We are here to settle an industrial dispute, which is about pay, conditions and jobs, as well as our pensions. It's up to the Tory party who they put in government. They have deposed at least 2 prime ministers without an election in the last 5 years. It's nothing to do with what railway workers are doing. We want a settlement to this dispute. And the idea that somehow 40,000 railway workers who are threatened with their jobs are going to bring down the government is a nonsense. It's peddling a myth, frankly. We want a settlement to an industrial dispute.
You've said you're going to go on striking until you get the settlement that you want. A lot of members of the public, people who want to use the trains, are worried that this is going to affect Christmas now. Would you really do that to them?
Well, we're not doing anything to anyone. What we're after is a settlement. What they're saying to me when I get round the table is we want to sack 5,000 or 6,000 of your members. So their Christmas will be ruined if they don't have a job. Their Christmas will be ruined if they go for over 3 years now without a pay rise. And their Christmas will be ruined if they have their conditions chopped up and they're treated in a way that is entirely unacceptable. So our people are losing their money every time they go on strike. They're feeling a lot of pain, but they're determined to get a settlement because what's being asked of them is completely unreasonable. We're not here to upset the public. We're being forced into this position because of the demands that are made on us by these companies who want to extract more and more profit for very little return. And they're asking things that we cannot accept. And until we get a settlement, we will have to continue with this industrial dispute. That's all we're after, a settlement to a dispute.
Well, what is the unreasonable demands? Because I mean, and this isn't trying to blindside you. It's just clarification. Because some of the reports that we've seen were saying, well, one thing you're not happy is things like weekend working, overnight working that you don't want people to be forced into.
Well, our members work 24/7. They work right around the clock. They work all sorts of hours that most people wouldn't imagine. We run a 7-day railway. What they're saying to our members in maintenance, who already work 39 weeks of nights, is they want them to do 52 weeks of nights. And our members simply don't want to do that. They want a contract where they see their families every now and again. They want to play a part in their community. So they want to increase the unsocial hours. They want to do that without a pay rise for the last 3 years, as I've said. And they want to make demands on us that we cannot accept. They want us to have new contracts of employment, which are a version of fire and rehire that we've seen in so many companies. And they want to lower the rates of pay that new starters in our industry will have. They want to change our pensions so that they become less valuable. And everything that we have, they want to chop it up so they can make more money. So we want a contract of employment that we can deal with. And the demands that they're making, they know we cannot accept at the moment. If we were offered a deal that was acceptable, if it was based on what we currently have, we could make an agreement. But there's nothing there that we can accept at the moment.